Can you tell me something you know about science?
I know that in volume you measure with milliliters.
Okay.
And in mass, mass you measure with grams.
Okay.
Can't think.
Just something you know in general about science.
I can't think.
Do you ever learn about science in school?
Yes. A lot.
Yes. Can you tell me what you learned?
We're learning about No, we did that last week.
Okay.
We're learning about this week.
Mass and temperature, right?
Just temperature, measurement and temperature, and how you measure it is in kilometers. No, I don't think that's right.
Kilometers.
Kilometers.
Can you tell me what you learned?
I learned how to use a triple beam balance.
Okay.
I learned how to measure, what's it called? I learned how to, the graduated cylinder. I learned how to read a graduated cylinder.
Okay, good. Have you ever learned about science somewhere else other than school?
Yes, I have.
I
Where?
think so.
Where?
At home because my nanny was a science teacher, 8th grade science, and so we do a lot of science experiments.
Yeah, at home, my sister got like this science experiment kit, and so we got to do like a lot of those.
We just like do it on the usual thing, something we can do in an experiment on it.
Okay. Oh, how is science different from other things you learn about?
It's different because you don't have to really say, you don't really have to say, I have to do this is this and then do this is this. It's more of I have to read this and then figure out the actual measurement sometimes.
What about you, Aubrey? How's it different from other things you learn about?
Well, in science you would use math, so it's like kind of the same thing, but like history is not the same thing as science.
Science, you actually get to interact with the stuff that you do. Like in activities, you get to interact with like the graduated cylinder, the triple beam balance. But in the other classes, you just do it on paper.
Okay. You have been telling me many things about science. So, what is science?
Science is something that you experiment with. It's something that you figure out on your way. It's like you don't know what's actually going to happen, but you can figure it out.
What do y'all think science is?
Science is something.
I think like if you don't know it, like you can just experiment with it, like that's science.
Okay. What is a scientist?
It's somebody who experiments with science.
Yeah.
Okay. Someone who experiments with science? What do they do?
They figure out new things and they experiment and try to get like
Cures
and antidotes for other things.
Like if like other people want to know like if there's like something like in like a rock or a fossil or something, like they can figure out what's in it.
And they keep experimenting until they get it right.
Okay. How do they do their work?
lot of different tools, like stuff that you would use in different jobs and stuff. But scientists, they have to use all this stuff and they have to work with it.
It depends on the thing that they're doing. Because sometimes they could be measuring liquid, sometimes they could be measuring mass. You just don't know until you figure out.
Well, how do they do most of their work? How would you think?
I think they experiment a lot because
I know they they use all like the different tools, but I feel like they forget what it's I forget what it's called, but it's the thing where if you like put something underneath it, you can like see like closer into it.
Microscope?
Uh-huh. I feel like they would use those a lot.
Okay. Have you ever seen a scientist?
yeah.
If my
No.
teacher counts.
Yeah, sure. The teacher counts.
You've never seen another scientist besides that? No?
No.
Okay. Do you know a scientist?
No.
I know a teacher
Not in real life.
that loves science.
Okay. What do they do?
Like teach us about science.
So that's the only scientist you know?
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. Okay. There was a woman who loved birds. She traveled around the world to study them. As she traveled, she noticed that birds had many differently shaped beaks. For example, some were long and thin, some were big and sharp, and some were tiny and short. She also observed that birds ate different types of food. She asked the question, is there a connection between birds' beak shapes and the types of food they ate? Do you think she was working like a scientist?
Yes.
Why?
Because she had a theory and she's now learning about it and thinking.
She had a theory and she wanted to experiment with it.
She was observing it very well.
Okay. Do you think her work was an experiment?
Yeah,
Yes.
Why?
because she was trying to find a solution for something that she didn't know, and she was trying out different things.
That's my answer.
Is that your answer?
Kind of.
Okay. What should she do next to answer her question?
She should test it out. She should get one bird that has a smaller beak and see if they would eat the same food as the bigger beak birds.
She could examine all the birds and see which each of them eat, and then start experimenting with that.
She should see if she should get like one of the birds that has like a smaller beak and see if they'll eat foods that like the other birds would eat, and she would see if they would eat that.
Okay. How many of you know something about dinosaurs?
I know something.
Kinda know.
Kind.
Okay, you go first.
Well, I know about the T-Rex. They were a big predator, and that they had short hands,
Okay.
which was
I just know some kinds of dinosaurs. I don't know very much though. I know some though.
Do you know anything about like their personalities, about how they were?
No.
Okay. You?
They got extinct a lot of years ago, and they were usually mean. They were usually mean if they were meat eaters, but if they were vegetarian dinosaurs, they wouldn't be very mean. They died off.
How do scientists know that dinosaurs really lived, since there are no dinosaurs around anymore and no one has ever seen them?
Fossils.
lots
found
of
I was
fossils.
just about to say
and
fossils.
And they put all the bones together and made a sculpture, and they can see the dinosaur.
They can probably
And
tell
then-
how old the fossil is.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and they would also kind of sculpt out to where it would make what they would what they would seem to be like today if they were still around.
Okay. What do scientists think dinosaurs look like?
Big,
Big, yeah,
scary.
tall,
Some are short.
ferocious.
Well, some are really big,
And some are
small, and some fly. Some
Pterodactyl
don't.
fly.
So what do they think they all look like, kind of? Do they have any similarities?
Birds.
They're kind of like they all have like the same type of skin whenever you
Yeah.
look at a dinosaur. And they all have sharp teeth, really sharp teeth.
No, not all of them. Some of them
Most
have
of them-
weird kind
Oh,
of teeth
yeah.
to eat plants if they're vegetarians.
Some of them don't have.
A lot of them have horns.
Oh yeah.
Why do scientists think that they look a certain way?
Because of the fossils
Yeah,
that they
because
put
of
together.
fossils.
And then they sculpt it out with like you could say
They
paper
probably
mache.
They probably have
clay.
evidence from a long time ago.
Okay. Scientists don't always agree on the reasons about what happened to make the dinosaurs all die away. Why do you think they don't agree?
Because some of them might say, "Oh, you put that together wrong. It actually looks like a completely different thing,"
And some
and they could be
people
right.
have captured like dark images of an outline of a creature that looks like a dinosaur or something. Like they still believe that they exist.
Okay. What do you think?
Well, all people do believe something different, so it could all go like a different way. But I would think they don't agree because of like all like the different kind of dinosaurs. Like there's big ones, there's small ones, but like one can be focusing on like one of the big dinosaurs, one of them can be focusing on the same dinosaur, but and then they're like, well, I'm right and you're wrong, but they're like, no, I'm right and you're wrong.
Okay. If your friend said that he knew the reason for what happened to the dinosaurs, what would he have to do to make scientists believe him?
He would have
Probably
to test
become a
out his theory.
scientist.
He would what?
He would have to test out his theory and see, like, get a fossil of some sort, and then say, "This is what I think," and then he'd have to show.
And you think he'd have to become a scientist?
Yeah, because I don't think they believe a little kid. I think they trust more in like a scientist or something. Because if a kid walked up to you and had a big theory about dinosaurs, and he was only in like second grade, would you believe him? I wouldn't.
I think he would have to have a lot of evidence.
Okay. Why? Why do you think?
Because if he doesn't have anything to prove with, who would believe him? Just like say if he came up to a scientist and said, "Guess what? I have this theory," and not anything else about how he tested it out or looked for evidence, just said that. Nobody would think, "Oh my goodness, he knows everything. He's brilliant." Instead, if you did have evidence, they would be like, "Oh, where's your evidence?" He'd say, "Oh, well, I've been searching and looking and all that combined, and it has turned out for my theory to be right or wrong."
I think he would need a lot of evidence because, like, if he just walked up to you and said, "Oh, I know the real reason why they're extinct," how are you gonna believe him? Like, if he just says, "Well, I found it on the internet," well, the internet's not always true, and he could just be like saying that he knows it, even though he might not actually know it.
Well, I feel like he would have to have a lot of evidence because a lot of other people have different theories that they believe. Like, a lot of people believe that it was the meteors. People just say that they were just extinct and we don't know why. But he'd need a lot of evidence.
Okay. You've all told me about a lot of different facts and ideas about science. Do you think scientists will change their minds about these same facts years from now?
Probably.
Probably.
Some
Why?
guy is gonna say, "Oh, here's my theory. Here's what I think about this," and they would think, "That theory sounds better than ours. Let's go with that one."
Good morning, everyone. If you'll please rise for